Welcome to Unleash Leadership, the podcast where bold leaders and changemakers come together to share their stories, strategies, and insights for creating a lasting impact on society. Karla Blanco is your host. For over 28 years, she has been navigating the complexities of the corporate and government worlds, a journey that's taught her that authentic leadership isn't just about climbing the ladder. It's about lifting others as you rise. Along the way, she uncovered the unwritten rules that drive success, the ones no one tells you about, but that can define your career and legacy. On this podcast, she'll sit down with extraordinary guests from around the globe, leaders, visionaries, and innovators who are leaving their mark on the world. Together, they'll explore their journeys, uncover their tips and tricks, and dive into the challenges they've overcome to inspire you to excel in whatever you're facing. Whether you're climbing the corporate ranks, building your personal brand, or leading change in your community, this podcast is your space to grow, learn, and unleash the leader within. So grab a notebook, get ready to take action, and join us on this journey to unleash our leadership potential. Before we dive in, make sure to follow Karla on Instagram, LinkedIn, at Karla Blanco Coach, Karla with a K, and YouTube at Karla Blanco Show to stay connected and get even more leadership tips and updates.
I'm excited to introduce you Jenn Kallgren, who is a leadership and growth coach for women in midlife who are redefining who they are and how they lead. Her real-life journey, shaped by responsibility, resilience, and reinvention, taught her that leadership is rooted in self-trust, emotional safety, and intentionality. Jenn now guides women to lead from who they are becoming, breaking old molds, and embracing the power of leadership after 50. She helps them build confidence, set boundaries, and create aligned, fulfilling lives. Her message is simple. You are not behind. You are becoming. Jenn, welcome to the show. It's an honor to have you here. Jenn, share with us about your journey and your leadership. How it started, what are you doing now? So looking forward to learn more about that.
Okay. Well, so I started my career in the semiconductor industry and I was a corporate trainer. And I absolutely loved the training part of it. I'm a teacher. Like I used to play school when I was a little kid. I've always loved being a teacher. And so I did that for 4 years. But then when I had my first daughter, she's almost 22 now. So when I had her, I decided I was going to stay at home. And so I have been a stay-at-home mom up until 2023. So it's been a while that I've been staying at home. I've been a leader of my house, you know how that goes. And my husband was climbing the corporate ladder and I was kind of at home so that he could put his full energy towards that. And it served us really well. So I was leading in the home. I was doing the moms clubs and groups and all that kind of stuff, which after reading your book, it does come with some of the politics. I'm like, okay, I could see some of that, even with the mom communities.
Yes.
And I just probably about 2023, I decided I'm kind of outgrowing my job here, which I know as a mom you want to do. Your main goal is to have your kids, be self-sufficient in the world. And so I thought, well, what am I going to do now? Because I kind of equate it to a person who has worked their way into becoming the CEO, and then they want to retire and they no longer have the title of CEO. And it really takes a hit on your identity. Because you've spent so much time. Like I was actually very, very proud of saying I was a stay-at-home mom. I went into it like full bore, And so when I kind of realized, well, what am I going to say I do now? It was a real shock to my identity. And I don't know if that's normal or if it was just me. But but that was a major turning point in my own leadership journey, is just realizing a lot is tied to identity for me. And especially like as a leader, it's like, how am I going to lead in this next phase of my life when I no longer have these kids and this family that I'm the leader of anymore?
I love that. And well, and many times you say, you are not behind, you are becoming. And I, listening to you, I can understand from where that comes. But would you like to share with us what does becoming look like for a woman in midlife as ourselves, who is sharing old identities and stepping into a new way of leading? How to transition?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was a process. And that's why I love to be in this coaching space, because I would have loved someone to come along beside me and say, this is what we're going to do first. And often, like for me, that was getting in touch with my values. Because I started literally the first step of my journey to realizing I needed to be a leader was that I needed to lead myself well. That was my first thing. And a lot of it starts with awareness. And it's awareness of, where do things not feel right? Where do I don't feel like I belong anymore? And what's no longer serving me? So that was kind of where I started. I mean, I wasn't planning to write a course or even become a coach when I went through this journey. This is all just hindsight. But I started really getting in touch with my values. And I started realizing, once I saw what my values were, I could see the places in my life where I wasn't leading myself well. I was in, I just realized where things felt off. And then from there, I was like, okay, if things felt off in certain situations, then how can I become a good leader of myself? And I realized I needed, for the first time, is to be truly intentional with my life and to realize that I could chart out whatever course I wanted. It was all up to me. And so that was the most pivotal step for me, was realizing no one's coming to save me. I have to, I have to create the life that I'm going to be excited about and love. And so once I got in touch with my values and started realizing where did things feel off, it kind of started me on a course of putting one foot in front of the other. And I realized I was becoming something that I had never been before. And that made me reflect, because I was like thinking back to when I was a little kid, and I was like, okay, so I had just turned 50 in 2023. That's probably why I was going through this reinvention, because in my mind, I was thinking, oh my gosh, I'm 50. Like, and then I realized, okay, every decade demands a different me. And so I was thinking who I was in a little kid from 0 to 10, then who I was from 10 to 20, who I was from 20 to 30. And I started looking back and I started noticing, oh my gosh, I've had many versions of myself already. And then it was about, who do I want to become in this next version of my life? And I loved your book. If I could just like
You.
put out this part of your book, you said, I wrote this book because I know what it feels like to be in a room full of people and feel invisible, to have valuable ideas and not know how to make them heard, or to think the results alone were enough to get ahead. I learned often through trial and error that it's not enough to be competent. You have to know how to communicate, connect, observe, and adapt without losing yourself, and build strategic relationships that propel you forward, not drain you. And I just thought, okay, when you asked this question, I thought, I knew I was going to refer to this at some point, and this is the perfect point, because I was in a stage where I felt invisible. I felt like, as I was walking through airports or whatever, that I don't know if society has definitely changed a lot. probably since COVID and just, the disconnection that kind of happened during that time of staying inside and not being around people as much as we were prior to that. But that really hit me in your book when you said that. And another thing that I realized too, it wasn't enough just to be a nice person. Um, because niceness is not always reciprocated. And so I wanted to build that strategic relationships that would help to build me and not drain me. So I hope that answers your questions, but the becoming thing is such a big snowball. And it's just constantly ever building and ever flowing because I feel like if we're not changing, we're dying. And so we should always be changing. We should always be evolving. We should always be becoming, and also being very intentional about what it is, who we are becoming.
I love how you stated like that analysis because, and Steve Jobs is the one that told us it's easier to connect the points backwards, or the dots, sorry, the dots backwards, and connecting the dots from your different decades and sharing with the audience and inviting them to ask themselves who you want to become. That is a precious gift. Thank you so much, Jen. And I would like to move again into that leadership that was shaped through real life, not positions or titles. You were mentioning about politics. Yes, in the book I talk about office politics, but you are right. We as humans, we in our nature, we have politics because we influence every day each other. So how did responsibility, resilience, and reinvention teach you a different definition of leadership, one rooted in self-trust and emotional safety?
Yeah, so I was thinking about this, and I love it because I think when you think back to the responsibility, it's like, if you're the manager of a home, or you're the manager of an organization or a multinational, international corporation, you have to be responsible for people to follow you. So you have to have integrity. You have to have trust. People have to trust you. You have to do what you say you're going to do. All the things kind of are similar across the board. And so it was funny because I was asking my daughter today, before she went to work, I'm like, okay, so you're pretty much like one of the only people I've led in my life. Do you feel like I've been responsible? Do I say have I done what I said I was going to do? Do you trust me? Can you rely on me? And she was like, yeah, yeah. And so, but I feel like that's one thing with responsibility is it taught me to be strong and capable. And especially when you're raising, I'm raising two daughters. And so I wanted to also teach them to be capable and strong as well. And then with resilience is just, how to keep going. And one time, one of my friends, my dear friends, she said, she taught her family that we can do hard things. And it has completely stuck with me about doing hard things and feeling strong enough to be able to make the right decisions and just to do the hard things. And then reinvention taught me something a lot deeper. And for me, it was self-trust. That's what it was for me is, oftentimes you'll have a feeling, whether you're in the workplace or in a friend group or wherever, where something just feels off, or you think, gosh, did she really mean it that way? Or, things like that. And I've really just started learning how to trust myself and trust my intuition. And I feel like sometimes it's hard because sometimes as people, we are valued when we are go with the flow kind of people, or when we don't stand up for ourselves. And so sometimes when you do choose yourself, it ruffles feathers. And but I feel like part of that responsibility and resilience and reinvention is having that self-trust to where it's okay because you're being true to yourself, and that's never a bad thing.
Yeah, and actually, when you do that, you are giving permission to those around you to be themselves too.
Yeah.
And well, actually, I will remind you, you just this year we started 2025 with a group of women that was led by you. So you have been leading in many places. And I do recall also a huge event you had, and you were co-leading that event. So there
Yeah.
are many places that we can see what you just mentioned, that walk the talk as a leader and creating safe space for those around you. Thank you so much for that, Jen.
Yeah.
Mm,
But that wasn't
mm,
always easy. Like you said in your book, you're an introvert. Oh my gosh, I'm such an introvert. I think back of all the times like I should have stayed after a work meeting, or I should have tried to collaborate more. And I really didn't have the skills. I was really uncomfortable doing that. And so I let those opportunities slide. And I really regret it. Yeah, I regret the missed opportunities. But, then thinking about one thing about turning 50 is age gives you wisdom because you can start to see the patterns, and you can see things about yourself that need to be changed, and you can grow and take responsibility, all that kind of stuff. That when you're younger, I feel like you just don't have the life experience yet to see those as great opportunities that they are, and you just let them pass. And so yeah, your book was so great, Karla. I know I'm
thank
like talking
you.
about your book, but I loved the things that you talked about when you're like one of the first things was saying yes before you think you're ready. And I was like, oh gosh, that is so good. Because how many times, like even with even that collaboration that I led, I just wanted to gather as many women and just be an influence, to those who need it. And I said yes before I was ready. Certainly, I don't know if you're ever truly ready.
Yeah, I agree.
About, I think you kind of develop the wings on the way down, like they say.
Exactly, exactly. And I hope many young leaders and people that are starting their careers, that they learn from our experiences and they move forward, because we are two introverts here having this conversation, and we both regret not getting out of our ways earlier. But we learn, and that's why we are here.
Yeah.
Jen, many women reach midlife carrying expectations about who they should be. What are some of the most common molds you see women breaking, and what happens when they finally give themselves permission to lead from who they are becoming?
Yeah, I love that word should. It makes me think of something Tony Robbins once said. He said, "Don't should all over yourself."
Oh, yeah.
And I love that because I've been guilty of this before, of placing other people's expectations, and they may not be even real, but
Yes.
thinking that other people have expectations of me, that I should do this or I should do that, and I do it, only to find out they never expected that of me anyways. I made it up in my head. And so it's like we can put a lot of expectations on ourselves, and we can just learn from that, because who we should be really grounded. And I feel like that is kind of what my focus is these days, is making sure that women know who they are, and they know what they want, and they know what their strengths are, so that they're not giving pieces of themselves that isn't in their strength wheelhouse. Because I could take a task from you that is out of my comfort zone. I'm not good at it. I'm not going to excel, but I try to do it anyways for the recognition or the, whatever it is, maybe the new job or whatever. And it's going to end me up in is a position of something that isn't suited for me or isn't right for me or doesn't fit. It doesn't feel like it belongs, where if I can know my own strengths and be secure enough to pass up on the things I know are not in my strength, then I'm letting other people rise up in their strengths, but then and trusting too that something in your strength will come along, because there's a little piece of faith too that has to do with this, is believing that you were made for something special, just like everyone else is made for something special. But I just always I love this idea that because I'm a believer in God, and I love to believe that God wants to give me the things that of my heart because he put them there.
Yes.
And so that was a huge realization for me too. That I think I was in my late 30s, early 40s that I said, oh, I was just praying, oh God, help me to do this or do that and do this and do that. And he was like, okay, well, I'm glad you're on board now because I've been wanting you to do that all along. And I was like, oh my gosh, really? Like here I was like begging for something to happen, I've always wanted to be a teacher. I've always wanted to do women groups and things like this.
That's so
And
beautiful.
and I just felt like it never was going to happen. It was never the right time. It was like I was almost like waiting for something to fall in my lap instead of that responsibility thing that I talked about, where it's like, no one is coming to save you. If you want these things, you have to figure out how to get them and you have to make them happen. And so I think that's been my own evolution, that if I could give someone younger advice, I would say, trust yourself, trust your strengths, and no one is competing with you for something that is in your strength. Because you know what? Like if I told you I wanted to lead a women's mastermind or a retreat with 100 people, you might say, what are you, crazy? I don't want to do that. Like, I'd rather be doing something else, the behind the scenes logistics or something. So in our minds, we kind of feel like people are competing with us all the time. But really, we just need to get out of our own way and just lead ourselves and make it happen.
And talking about that wisdom that you acquired through the years and experiences, you have mentioned that leadership after 50 is uniquely powerful. What makes this stage of life such a potent moment for clarity, confidence, and aligned decision making?
Yeah, I think first off for me was just seeing the patterns. Like you said, it was like you can only see the progression when you connect the dots when you're further ahead. And in anybody's life, whether they're 25, 35, 45, they're going to be able to look back and see some patterns. And those are so educational. And by the time you reach 50, I feel like there is kind of the clouds kind of dissipate. I don't know. I feel like just for me that I was so busy that I didn't have time really to think back and analyze and try to figure everything out. I was just busy doing, doing, doing. And then one day I read this thing that says, you're not a human doing, you're a human being. And it resonated with me because I'm like, yes, everyone. Well, then I became reflective and I started looking around and I'm like, everyone is so busy. They're busy to connect. They're too busy to have a phone conversation anymore. Everybody texts now. It's like,
Yes, yes.
yeah, and so when we're busy, it's different than when you're being. And for me, it's been just because I think my kids are grown up. I had a lot more time, so I could really be in the moment. And then I started realizing what drains me and what sustains me. There's certain activities that I was like, that no longer like fuels my interest anymore. Part of it was because well, another thing that you said in your book, Karla, I loved your book
Thank you. Thank you.
because you said something to the effect of, what do you want to be remembered for?
Mhm.
Okay, that totally stuck out to me because when I turned 50, I thought to myself, oh my gosh, like I don't know how much time. I mean, I'm assuming, I'm healthy and everything. But tomorrow is never a guarantee. And I think you don't realize that until you start getting a little bit older. You don't feel invincible anymore like you used to. You realize, oh my gosh, like if I don't eat as much protein, I'm not going to
Exactly.
have muscle going into my old age. That's something that concerns me now that never used to. And so anyways, I just think, and then on a bigger personal note is, what do I want to be remembered for? And yes, okay, so I raised a great family. But I didn't build that network. And so when I was 50, I'm like, I want to build a network. I want to make a difference in the world because yes, I have great friends and everything like that, but I didn't much reach out past that. And you can't change the world with your small group of friends. And so you have to reach out to make a real difference. And it just became so loud to me that staying the same wasn't an option anymore. I knew there was growth for me and there was expansion and I felt it and I wanted to create it and I just wanted to step out and see what else could I do that was bigger.
And
Yeah.
I love that you are on it. You work helping women build confidence, set healthy boundaries, which is critical for all of us, and create lives that feel deeply fulfilling. What are the first signs that a woman is ready to lead from alignment rather than obligation?
Yeah, I mean, this is so good because I feel like there needs to come a time in every woman's life where they look for the areas of discomfort. And maybe that means just questioning the status quo. Like, okay, yeah, this is the way that things have always been done, but is this the way that I want to perpetuate? Like for me, I was tired of being so busy doing and but at the same sense, I was feeling disconnected from myself or that I was a fish out of water. Like if I would go to a party or something and there were people there, I would feel like, gosh, I just feel like a fish out of water. Or like I would try to talk about the things that are interesting to me, like growth and women groups and I kind of get the feeling that not everyone wants to grow. And so for me, I wanted to be in rooms where people did want to grow and where there was excitement around that. And yeah, so I guess the first thing is just asking yourself like what once worked, but no longer works anymore. And there's
Yeah.
just a disconnect. And sometimes it's very, very subtle. Um, Also, like a lot of times, and I was thinking about this, is that you, if you feel tired of over explaining yourself, or you feel tired of over giving or over functioning, those were some of the things that I started to pay attention to.
I love that. Those are really good red flags for us to take a look inside.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jen. And can you share what unleashed leadership means to you?
Yeah. So, okay. So for me, unleash leadership is basically, um, I think it is that self-trust piece that I talked about. And the biggest thing for me personally was when I was realizing no one was coming to save me and I had to become a leader myself. Because I feel like if you're waiting for someone else to save you, whatever it may be, the leader of your organization or the president of the United States or whoever it is, it's like they are not going to change your world. They are not going to change your life. The only one who can change your life is you. And and so for me, that was just what I started focusing on is building my skills, building my finding a growth path, finding the people. What did you call it in your book? Your
Board of advisors?
yes, yes, your advisors. Building that. Um, because we're both part of John Maxwell organization. I have met so many amazing, wonderful, growth-minded mentor ladies in that organization. And really you have to find your people because if you're trying to walk up Mount Everest and you want to have other people helping you walk up Mount Everest too. You don't want people yelling, that's too hard. Come back down to base.
Yeah.
You want the people who are saying, okay, you want to do this? Let's get you geared up. Let's get you conditioned and let's get you up to the top so you can meet your goals. And then this is my personal thing that's just giving me goosebumps. I am a cheerleader. I love supporting other women. And I love being there to say, yes, keep going. So if it was me, I would be halfway up Mount Everest with my little parka on, being like, go, Karla, you can do it. You can do it. But I think it all comes down to, though, before you can unleash that leadership in others, you have to unleash it onto yourself.
Yes.
And you have to become a good leader. And that's why I call myself a women's growth mentor, because I don't feel like you can become a good leader if you're not intentionally growing.
Yes, we are the CEO of our lives and careers, so we really need to take that ownership.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you
I
so
think it
much,
took me
Jen.
a long time to figure that out. I don't know. I just feel like it took me a long time to figure that out. So that is something I would highlight for anyone who's young and listening to this is to write that down and maybe put it on their mirror that they see every morning. It's like you are the CEO of your life. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your wisdom. Thank you for everything you shared, for being you, because you really create an impact on those that are around you. And I feel like I've been privileged to get to know you. And well, wishing you the best of the best this year. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carla, and I admire you so much. So I appreciate you having me on your show and and I look forward to working with you in the future.
Me too. Thank you.